What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mikey Yourself. And this week's video, we're going to just cover some kind of preventative maintenance that you want to do on your bike. You know, some people will tell you once a week or whatever. I'm just saying if you can do this once a month, then it'll help you prevent some issues with your bike. So let's talk about what we're going to cover. Alright guys, so the things I'm talking about checking out on your bike on somewhat of some type of like regular interval is things like your oil, your tires, your tire pressure. You want to look at your brake pads and your lights. So some of this is preventive maintenance in that like it's good to stay on top of your oil depending on how many miles you ride. That's important. If you're wearing down your tires and you're gonna have to buy some, it's easier to save and plan than to have a blowout. And I've ridden a bike that had a rear tire blow out on me. It's not fun, right? And I'm lucky that it was just the rear tire and not the front tire. So those are experiences you don't really necessarily want to have. So by doing these kind of things, you can prevent that from happening. Some of the other stuff that you want to check are your brake pads. Like I said, you want to make sure that you tackle that beforehand. Braking's kind of an important thing to do. And as it pertains to lights, it's not so much preventive maintenance, but really two things. One, it's safety and avoiding a ticket, right? Why give somebody a reason to pull you over because you have an out light bulb, right? You could have took 2 seconds to check out your bulbs and been on your way. You'd been good. Granted, they can fail at any time, but if you stay on top of it, it's less likely to catch you off guard. And really, lights and blinkers on your bike are important, especially at night, because people have a hard time seeing us as it is. Let's not make it any harder by not having a functional light on our bikes. So let me walk you through kind of how I do it, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of direction if you need some. And if not, if this is, you have a different way of doing it, share that with us in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you all say, and we'll go from there. So let's jump into the first thing here. All right, so item one, guys, check your motor oil, right? So when you check it, and depending on your bike, your dipstick may look a little different. Definitely different by model. If you have a Softail, of course, your engine oil ain't there. But in the Milwaukee 8, and this happens to be a 107, when you look at your dipstick, it gives you two options how to check it. So it's all done while the bike is hot. So you would have to run it, and you have two different lines. One is used for checking it while it's on its side stand or the Jiffy stand, and the other way is doing it with the bike upright. So if you just happen to have it on a jack or whatever for whatever reason, then you could do it that way, but make sure it's hot. More commonly, you might pull over the side of the road and decide to want to check it, then you're going to use this upper line here to measure out your oil. Make sure that when you put your dipstick into after you wipe it initially and you put it back in there, you want to screw it down and then unscrew it. So it's checked, screwed in. And it actually says that right here on your dipstick. So that's checking your oil. Simple process to do, super important to do it. All right, guys, so the other thing you want to look at is tires, right? So you want to look for any kind of dry rot that you might have, and also to see if the tread is still good, right? So my tread is definitely still good. There's multiple ways to check it. So you have the ability to check your tire tread with, usually there's a like kind of a cross bump in there where you can see when you get to that wear point, then that's a good idea to go ahead and swap out your tire. Other ways to do it is you can use like the penny method where you flip the penny upside down, and I believe it shouldn't exceed Abraham Lincoln's head, or it should exceed, I'm sorry, Abraham Lincoln's head. And then if you use an actual gauge, and I would say you may have to check your tire brand, make and model, in order to determine what that actual thickness is. But they actually sell some pretty cool little devices that you can pick up. And basically, if the measurement shows green, you're good. And anything else, then you're bad. So pretty simple way to figure out whether or not you got good tires. So you just want to kind of take a look at that. Look your tires over. Same thing on the rear. You want to, take a good look. And again, you're looking for any kind of dry rot, any problems with the tread at all. And that's how you're going to check your tires. So now let's talk checking your tire pressure. And this is an important one. This one you should probably do more often, I would say, before you go out on any rides, right? Check your tire pressure. You want to make sure you're solid. Now, I believe the recommended pressure for my bike, the 2017 Road Glide, is 36 psi in the front and 40 psi in the back. If you do some research, you're going to find guys generally do the 40 in the rear, but in the front, they'll bounce around between 36 and 40. It all depends, on their preference. But take time to check that pressure, make sure you're good. It's always a pain in the butt to find your stem to make it in the right spot. I use a very simple slime pressure gauge. I picked this up at Walmart for dirt cheap, but it's nice. It's digital. It reads both PSI and bar. You just throw that on there. And then, I didn't get a good read on that one. I'm low. So I'm rating 30.5 psi. So my front tire is very low. And this is why you do those checks. So I did no prep for this video because I wanted to take the opportunity to do the checks that I, practice what I preach, right? So in this particular case, we got 30.5. We're gonna have to add air to the front. Let's check the back. All right, so I think that everybody's with me when it comes to checking that tire pressure in the rear. It's a pain in the butt because you either got to do one of a couple of things. Either you got to get down on your belly and rotate your tire until you get it to the bottom. And if you have stretch bags, it's even harder to access that valve stem. Or you can put it up on a jack, but not too many people want to do that for a quick check. The other thing is taking off the saddlebag. I'll tell you that taking off the saddlebag, even though it's a little bit more of a pain and I've got additional connectors that I got to deal with when I do remove mine, it truly is the easiest way. You just get it done, bite the bullet, put your bag back on, and be on your way. What's nice about this is when you do have it off, you want to take off your right side because this gives you access not only to the valve stem, but also your brake caliper so we can check the brakes. But for right now, let's check this tire pressure. So I'm at 35 there. So I'm also low in the rear. These are the reasons why we do these checks. Now checking your brake pads can be a little tricky. This is the way I do it. It's just easier for me. And I like to use a flashlight and a mirror. And what I'll do is take the flashlight, get right underneath that brake caliper, or not the flashlight, the mirror. Use my flashlight to shine up so I can see those brake pads. And the wear thickness on a Harley brake pad is pretty darn thin. It's like a couple millimeters. So as long as you get a nice, good, thick looking pad, you're good. If it's questionable, like if you're having a hard time distinguishing the backing and the pad, man, you're due for some brake pads. So use this process in the front. You got to check the other side, and then we'll jump to the rear. GoPro, stop recording. Checking your rear brake pad is a little bit easier, especially for this outer one, because you can see it right there. So you get a good view of it, take a look at it. And then for that inner one, so when you go to check that inner one, just prop your mirror up. Depending on the size of the mirror, you may struggle a little bit, but this one's pretty big, so it's kind of hard to get in there. But I can see my inner brake pad, and it looks solid, good to go. So the last thing that you want to check is your lights. So you want to check them all. It's very simple to do. Just throw your bike in the on. And what I'll do is I'll hit my emergencies. And this is for the quick check, but you can quickly tell, hey, are my turn signals able to work? They're working fine up in the front. You got your front light there. If you have saddlebag lights, you're going to want to check those out as well. Make sure they're connected. Make sure they're strobing like they should. You got your primaries. The light bar is great. It's just extra visual. And then your other side, right? The last thing you want to check is your brake lights. So let me get you set up and we'll take a look at those. So give your front brake a squeeze. Make sure it's activating your lights. In my case, I've got the side lights as well as the blades and the primaries. And then you're going to want to do the same thing with your foot brake. Good to go. Okay guys, so that's it for this week's video. I know it seems very basic, it seems simple, but it's something that not everybody does, not everybody knows how to do. But just letting you know, it's not difficult to do and so important for us to do, not only for new riders, but experienced riders as well. We sometimes get complacent. You've been riding for a long time, you feel, things or whatever, but it's always good to take a minute, humble yourself and do the checks, do the walkthrough. Checking those tires, making sure that tread's good to go. You don't want to be on slicks. If you see your tire tread is getting low, then you can go ahead and putting away a couple of bucks, because tires ain't cheap these days. So you want that cost to be expected and not unexpected. And you definitely don't want to be in the same situation that I was in, where I had a tire blow out on me on the freeway, right? So something you can definitely avoid. Check those brake pads. Again, something so important, so easy to do. The brake pad thickness, it may vary, but generally speaking, they're about like 6 to 10 millimeters or whatever is kind of the tolerance before you should be changing them according to like Harley standards. But it's easy to just look, and if you see it's super thick, you're good to go. If it's questionable, pull it off. Take a measuring tool and measure them out. It could save your life. So important to do. Make sure you check your oil. Now that one, you're gonna want to look at your owner's manual, or Google it. Find out how you have to do it specifically for your particular bike. Like I said, on the Milwaukee 8107, you can do it either on the side stand or you can do it on a center stand. But you got to make sure you do it hot and use that right gauge. Make sure you screw it all the way down. And again, for your bike, if you're on a Sportster, a Dyna, Softail, whatever, V-Rod, just make sure you reference how they do it, because it could vary from motor to motor and from model to model. Make sure you check those lights. Reminder, brake handle, foot brake. Why are we checking them? Because they have separate switches, and if one of those switches is out and you're just a front braker, you don't really use your rear brake a lot, people aren't going to know you're stopping if that switch goes out. So that gives you peace of mind that your switch is going good. Same thing with that rear brake. You want to make sure that you're being seen, right? Super important at night. It's already bad enough for us as bikers that folks don't look out for us. So let's not give them another reason not to see us, right? Get those lights going, make sure they're solid. And then the other thing is, by checking those bulbs, you're not giving somebody with the badge the reason to pull you over and end up writing a fix-it ticket for something that you could have avoided very simply by doing some regular checks on your bike. So again, super easy. If you want to add some stuff to your check, maybe your checklist that you have going, you want to check your horn, check your high beams, whatever it is, more power to you. This is just something really, really basic, and wanted to bring it to everybody's attention, because as simple as it is, it's super important, and it doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a long-time rider. Safety, and preventive maintenance saves you money. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you enjoy my content, become a subscriber. And until my next video comes out, I hope to see you in the win.